Number 1, no big nerfs. Yes, you heard right. This patch is more about fixing the game than ruining your characters. There'll be more balances coming down the line, but not this one. Keep playing your Archmage, your Sparks, Monks, Incinerate Demon Forms, whatever. It's all going to keep working for now. But that doesn't mean things are going to change, because there's amazing stuff coming, especially for the endgame. They're reworking towers, because right now there's one stupid tower map, and it's quite boring to do. We're going to get 4 new ones called Alpine Ridge, Sinking Spire, Bluff, and Mesa. And they're reworking the current tower map to make it less boring. The idea is the same: climb the map and activate the beacon on top. All in all, towers are quite you just blast through them as fast as possible because you don't really want to mess with them a lot. So any improvement in that regard is appreciated. Now, my personal favorite change is going to be more boss maps. I've been hoping for this. And technically, they already had a good boss map spawner. It should have been 1 boss in every 4 maps. But some maps are not able to spawn bosses, and therefore we didn't have 1 boss in every 4 maps. And there's a good addition coming to this, because we're going to get a new precursor tablet. Right now, you can irradiate maps to add bonus levels. You could be adding breaches to maps around you, or delirium or rituals. But now we can also add bosses to maps. That's probably the one I'm looking forward the most to. Like, just go to this tower, add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new bosses, and then also take care of your map shortage. Maybe you don't have enough tier 15s, or you're stuck at the tier 11s, 10s, and whatsoever. But if you put a precursor tablet for bosses in, well, then you just kill them and you're gonna rake up on maps like crazy. They're also reworking maps in general, especially monster density. Small maps already feel good, but the larger maps can be partially empty. That's where more density comes in. But more density could be bad because of the effects. Haha, don't worry. Effects are being reworked too, especially these elemental effects that are around monsters that explode outwards. They're going to be more visible than ever because ground clutter is being removed, and they'll just be more visible. The same goes for strong boxes. If you walk up to them and you interact, they used to spawn this very annoying fog where you could barely see anything around, and the monster spawn was heavily delayed. Both of these things are going to be changed. Less fog, faster monster spawn. In general, more essences, more chests or chests opening faster and popping out the loot faster, just making the whole experience smoother. For Delirium, they're fixing a spawn bug, and you also get more simulacra than ever. And rituals in general have a higher chance to now give you omens inside of them as a reward, because sometimes the rituals just don't really feel worth it. You have 10 items in there and they're all trash. And for the expedition, they want to increase the shop rarity, because right now you get a bunch of blue stuff in there and sometimes a rare. Like if I go for this expedition shop to show me actual good loot and not like trash stuff. I personally stopped bothering looking in any way at any stuff in here, as it just is 99% lackluster. Now rejoice for our friends who have already found citadels, because they're working on the Pinnacle bosses. At the current moment, you die and it's over. But they're adding more attempts to it. They mentioned the Arbiter of Ash especially, that you can now finally use all 6 attempts instead of just 1. And they'll do this most likely for all the Pinnacle bosses, that you have a chance to learn, understand, and see what's going on. Keep in mind, if you do leave the map, it's still over. If you teleport out, you're gonzo. It's forfeit. But if you keep playing, you get a respawn and get another try and another try until you're out of portals, pretty much. They're going to say, Pony, I've never found a citadel. I don't care about the Pinnacle bosses. I've been exploring the map and they ain't coming. Well, no worries. There will be an indicator added, a big white light that shows the citadel already in the fog if you're getting close to it. And they're in general spawning closer to the center. So finding citadels should be easier than ever. My condolences to everyone who sank hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in already. Now, before we get to the item changes, there's tons of monster balance changes coming for bosses and for normal rares, elites with stupid combinations and such. For example, that silverback monkey that used to roll and just straight up one-hit you, that's gone. But this is just an example. They're planning tons of these changes and they'll probably be in the full patch notes. Also, the whites that could drop a meteor on you, and that meteor could partially come off screen. That off-screening ain't happening anymore. These are just 2 examples of many things that will change, so they certainly have an eye on the frustrations of players to take out some of the very annoying stuff. Now, in general, they want to buff rares in the endgame too, and uniques in the early game. For rares in the endgame, we're going to have mod weighting changes, that more good prefixes and suffixes are going to appear and less of the bad ones. That's already fantastic. I don't want to see light radius on my tier 5 super weapon. I don't even want to see accuracy rating on there. Give me just some good stuff. Interestingly enough, Jonathan mentioned that crossbows at a certain tier can't even get attack speed currently anymore. These things will be reworked. Thank you. Let's look at the uniques now. We all know that some of them just feel terrible. I mean, this is Brynhand's mark, and I mean, you might get it, but you're like, whatever. I'm not going to use you. You're not even worth it, not even for my low-level character. That item would, for example, be down here already with more attack and better boosted stats in general. Same goes for tons of the others, making them somewhat viable, that you at least might use them for a stretch of a time instead of completely ignoring that they exist. Now, these are only some of the uniques. More are being changed. And very good news for our console players. Yes, item filters are coming to console. You're going to have the same web-based system as you had in POE 1. You essentially subscribe to a filter on their website. It's going to be on the POE 1 website for now, but later on the POE 2 website too. But they're going to get that out for you to take away your frustrations in the end game with a screen full of cluttered loot. And finally, they mentioned some other stuff. And under other stuff was armor and scavenge plating changes. They really just glossed over this. And later in the interview with Darth Microtransaction and Gazi, they covered the armor topic again. And the conclusion is that it's a more complicated topic than it seems. They know it's off. They know armor is not giving enough. Evasion rating and energy shield has 2 good synergies. There will be some buffs happening, but armor is slated for bigger rework down the line, as they just need to internally discuss more. Where do they want armor to go? What should armor do? But something is already happening, which is better than nothing. And it's good to hear that they at least acknowledge that armor is awful currently. On top of that, we're going to get our charm users in the hotbar, so you can actually see how many charm charges do you have left. That's fantastic. And there's tons of more changes coming that they didn't even mention. And I almost missed to mention my absolute favorite change. In the future, you'll be able to take your armor that currently has 2 runes and just over-equip runes. Sure, the ones inside will be lost, and that's completely fine. But if I now have lightning resistance on my helmet, and I manage to fix lightning resistance otherwise, but I lack frost now, well, I can just put my cold resistance over, and that's it. Sure, the lightning resistant one is gone, but I'm not stuck with it anymore. I don't have to find a new helmet. Thank you very much. Now, there was that big podcast interview later after the patch note talk, and Gazi and Darth Microtransaction asked good questions. All in all, there wasn't anything too crazy, any new news coming from that more than they already talked about in the preview. They glossed briefly over Warrior to see if there is a problem with it, and maybe the endgame scaling with the attack speed might not be there, as the campaign playthrough in a Warrior feels brilliant, and I can test for that. I already played with 2 Warriors through, 0 issues. And the hotly discussed Magic Find topic was briefly glossed over. They pretty much need more data. They understand that some people want none, some people are okay with it. Generally speaking, they need to have it run more to decide themselves what do the data points say. All in all, they hinted to more changes, more patches, more balances, and that's all we can ask for. Please keep developing the early access and make it more fun for all of us. Keep improving on existing mechanics and fix the goddamn armor. Generally speaking, I'm very happy with the current situation, and if you do want to start a new character right now, how about a very insane ranger, or rather a warrior with totems? He's crazy. Enjoy. Have a good time.